I'm going to be making a picture today for my little friend Katya. Well, Katya is a little puppet that I put just a picture of her and I glued it onto a popsicle stick so that I could make kind of a puppet show. So I drew some ground for her, some grass for her to play on, and I drew the sky in the air. But as I was looking at Katya, I saw that she was playing in this white space between the sky and the ground. And I thought to myself, that doesn't look right. So I took a trip outside.
So when you're drawing pictures where you have the sky in the background, make sure you bring your sky all the way down to meet that horizon line. Don't leave that space in between empty, friends. So when the sky comes down and separates from the water or from the land, here would be from the land, that line there is called a horizon line. So when you're drawing pictures, you want to try to bring the sky down to meet the land because there's air in between, and that horizon line can show us really nice separation. Right here, it's really hard to find the horizon line. We don't know where the water stops and the sky begins. So having that line in there is really helpful when we're looking at drawing.
So I think my friend Katya needs some space to play where the sky comes all the way down to meet the ground. So I drew this picture instead. Now Katya can come in the foreground, in the front of the picture, or she can look like she's in the background right on the edge of the horizon line, pretty far away from me. I also did something a little different for the sky. When I brought it all the way down, I thought that if I were to color like this all the way down to the bottom, that would take a long time. So instead of holding my color stick like this, like a pencil to color, I laid it down on its side, and that let me color the whole background very quickly. If I were using colored piece of paper, I might even just not even color the sky and just do the ground. So now what I need to think about is Katya is my main character. So I want the picture to be about her. So I'm not going to put a lot of other things in the background. For example, if I go back to my book, The Princess in Black and the Mysterious Playdate, and I look at this picture here, there's a lot to look at in this picture. I can see the setting, I can see that they're close to a city, but they're probably in a park. I can see a lot of different characters. I can see details like bricks on the buildings, these lamp posts, this interesting fence. I can see a lot of different things in this picture, and I'm not really sure what to look at first. I can even see textures in the grass and the plants. But if I look at this picture later in the story, what I see is a little bit different. I can still see some textures and a few details, but for the most part, the background is just colors, just kind of shapes of colors. I have one main character to look at and something going on in the background. I know to look at this main character because these other characters are looking at her. So I follow their eyes, and this is where I'm going to look. Okay? So if I want to make emphasis on my main character, then I'm going to have that character probably be the largest thing in my picture. Here, she's in the foreground, so she's closer to us, and she's a lot bigger than these characters in the background. So we're going to pay the most attention to her. If I want Katya to be the main character, then I'm going to make sure that she is the biggest thing in my picture, and she's going to be the thing with the most details. If I add anything else to my picture, I'm going to keep it small and not give it a lot of details. Okay? Another thing that I can do to make my background more interesting for Katya is I can change that horizon line and make it a little bit curved instead of being straight across. Now this only works if your main character is on the land. If I were doing a dolphin in the water, then my water line would need to be straight because water doesn't really curve like that unless I were making big waves. But when I was coloring the grass here, I didn't do my best coloring. And I kind of just scribbled it in and colored in any direction that I wanted to, and it kept turning which way I was coloring. And it doesn't look as nice and neat as it does over here. So I'm going to try that again, and I'm going to color in just one direction. But for that, I kind of wanted to see if it could look more like grass and if I could give it a more interesting texture by coloring short lines going up, vertical, short lines. And then, this will take me a little bit longer, but I like how it's looking. And then I liked how the sky looked like that because it kind of looked cloudy. So I'm gonna lay my color stick on its side again and color like this. And this way I can turn my color stick any direction I want. I can go sideways or vertically or diagonal, and I'm still gonna get the same look. There, now that I finished my coloring, I even decided to add some bushes here by making swirly, circly lines. They're kind of hard to tell. I maybe should have done this with a different color. So I might think about adding another color over the top of them, and I could even make them a fun, bright, colorful color if I wanted to. But now, I bring in my main character, Katya, and she has a really interesting background. But she's still the emphasis. She's still the one that I'm going to look at the most. Okay? I colored in one direction so that it looked nice and neat, not like over here. And I have different textures to make my picture more interesting. And now Katya can run and play in the grassy field. Now the last thing I want to talk about is Katya is pretty small. My background is very large. If I have a character that's much bigger, I might not have space to add other things into my picture. For example, if I wanted to show that this is the giraffe's birthday, I'd have to draw his birthday cake pretty small, or balloons pretty small, so that I know that this is the main character and this is the one I want to pay attention to. But if Katya is my main character and she's a lot smaller and I have a bigger space in my background, then I have more room to make my other things in my picture. But this should be your main character, and that should be pretty large and take up most of your piece of paper. On my black piece of paper, I can do my background a little bit different. I maybe want to leave my sky black because maybe it's nighttime. Or maybe I just want to add more emphasis to my main character. If I lay this on the black piece of paper, it really pops out very, very bright. But if I would put this on a white piece of paper, it still shows up, but the black really makes it bright. So I'm going to use black paper for the back of my insect. But now I need to think about something. My insect isn't fitting on my paper when I have it this direction. So I'm going to need to turn my paper this way to fit my whole insect on it, because my insect is really large. So for the setting for my character of my butterfly, my character is traveling near the volcanoes of Hawaii, and it's my butterfly's birthday. So my butterfly is carrying around a balloon. So let's get a picture in. Now, my butterfly is the main character, so it needs to have emphasis. It needs to be the biggest thing on my picture and the thing we're going to pay the most attention to. So I think when I do my horizon line, I'm going to have it near the bottom, and then I think I might have the balloon up here. So I'm going to use browns and warm colors to create my ground because it's near a volcano. So I want to have some different color browns so that it looks like dirt or earth, and some warm colors. So I'm going to be using those fire colors, oranges, reds, yellows, maybe even some darker pinks for my volcano. So I have my earth colors and I have my warm colors. I also think this is going to look really exciting with my butterfly because my butterfly is all cool colors. My daughter always thinks of these as Elsa colors. So blues, turquoise, purples, even some greens. So those are the cold colors like ice. So these are very different from my background colors. So it's going to make my butterfly have even more emphasis. I'm going to start with my horizon line here, and I'm going to make it a little bit spiky because these are supposed to be volcanoes. So I'm going to start with my darker color, and I'm going to do a little bit of a zigzag, but it's going to be a little bit rounded at the top. I think I like that. And they're all going to be a little bit different. Some a little bigger, some a little smaller. So that'll be my horizon line. The black will be my sky because it'll be nighttime. And underneath here will be my ground of my volcanoes. Now I'm going to play with some different textures and colors to make my ground look really colorful and fun, but without a lot of detail. So now that I'm done with my volcanoes, I made them really colorful. And the coolest part with these color sticks is that you can layer different colors on top to make them really, really different colors. So I have all my warm colors down here.
One colors.
And I'm going to take my cool colors in my butterfly. And I like the big differences there.
Yeah. And they're like...
So the next thing that I need to add is I need to add in a balloon from my story. And I'm going to pick a really bright color so that the balloon stands out a little bit. But I'm not going to make the balloon super big. And I might even decide to have more than one balloon. I'm not sure. So I'm going to think about where I want this to go. Something like that, I think. So then I'm going to make my balloon up here in the sky. And I might add a couple more balloons and put them on the strings and have them go to the butterfly. And then I'll be done. There, now my picture, my background, the setting for my story, and my character is all done, and it looks amazing. Please make sure to put these in a super safe place for Mrs. White, because she's going to take really fancy pictures of them. So we don't want them to get crumpled or rolled up. Keep them as flat and beautiful as you can, and ask a parent where a safe place would be to keep these.